But yeah, bless up to each and everyone. Thanks for being here again. Happy Sunday to each and everyone. Look, wherever you're watching this video, is it in the kitchen, is it in the bedroom, whatever pot I put on fire in the day, yeah, you don't know it's either red rice, white rice, it is kungo peas, you know the shapes as a Jamaican, and I see that you gotta do some curry chicken and dumpling and some boiled food, yeah. But there for talk about curious really for talk about Leon Chippy Bailey and Kaheim Dixon, because I think it's an important stage, in both player career at this moment, where one player is looking to move on from the development league and another player is looking to move forward, to a different journey, into a different pathway. You understand? Moving away from England. It seems like his days are numbered in England, as if the new season will never catch him in England. But let's talk about Kaheim Dixon and Leon Chippy Bailey. But I will get into it right after this. Look, Kaheim, it's been a rough probably 10 to 12 months for Kaheim Dixon. I've been battling it out with some other youngsters in the development league for Charlton Athletic, and we saw him get his opportunity in the Unity Cup. We saw him get limited moments in the Gold Cup. But go back to the Unity Cup, where the Charlton Athletic had scouts in that tournament, not just watching their players but watching other players, looking at African players, looking at who will be a suitable player for the Charlton Athletic project going forward, for Nathan Jones. But what I've heard, in the media space of people that covered, the Charlton Athletic, that they're very impressed with the minutes that Kaheim Dixon got in the Unity Cup. Didn't really see much reports on Kaheim Dixon from Charlton Athletic. The bloggers, the social medias accounts that follow, Kaheim Dixon follow, and talk about Charlton Athletic Football Club. Didn't really see much report on it and what he done in the Gold Cup. Yes, when he got on the pitch, you will see reports of Kaheim Dixon got subbed in the Gold Cup, etc. and that. But they're very pleased, with the progress that he made in that Unity Cup. But fast forward, now it's pre-season, and I saw the team play Dartford, yesterday. They played Dartford in the opening pre-season campaign, and they have, I think, one more game before they will go off to Slovenia. They will play a team in Slovenia named Gorica. But look, they have like 7 to 8 pre-season games before they kicks off their championship season. And you will say, with the game yesterday, the manager was very pleased with the youngsters, as he said there's like 11 to 12 academy players were in that game as well. So I'm looking at it, there's no movement in terms of a lot of news coming out of Charlton Athletic about departures, players that will leave the football club on a loan, player that will get sold on a loan. But they kept all their youngsters in the project in the pre-season. Not a big squad going to the championship. A lot of academy players will build up the squad depth of numbers of who will go into that championship career. But Kaheim Dixon, I think this is his real chance. He started the game yesterday versus Dartford. I think he made a very key pass, going forward on that right hand side, where he sets up a 1-2 pass, where when the ball come to him, it was actually like 2 to 3 players coming at him. But the smartness of knowing that you've been closed down by the opponent player, you only need one touch to open up the gap again for your teammate to get into a better position, go into a better pass lane where he can offer his teammate an assist. And that's exactly what Kaheim Dixon did yesterday. And I was watching the game, but on the Charlton Athletic website, if you want to go and get news, because look, we have Amari Bell, we have Kaheim, we have Kirai, we have so many players for the Charlton Athletic. So if you can go ahead and subscribe to the Charlton Athletic, Charlton TV, it's like £7, so that would be like 10 US, so you can go ahead and subscribe, and you will get your daily news. You will not miss a moment of Charlton Athletic game. And I would like to say, like, is it the right time, for Kaheim to move on from the academy team, or is it the right time for him, to stay in the first team of Charlton. I know his minutes not going to be a lot, but it still will be a stepping in the right direction for him as well, moving from the academy, being in around, on the bench of the championship team. That will give a lot of experience. But for Kaheim at this moment, I think minutes are more valuable. Yeah, I think minutes are more valuable than anything in his career at this moment. And he played really well. He's always a bright spark whenever he touched on that football field. And you have to give Nathan Jones a lot of credit. This is a project that they believe in youngsters. This is why I said these 7 to 8 preseason games that Kaheim Dixon have left before the start of the championship season, they have like 7 to 8 games in the next 4 weeks. It's going to be massive for him. Can he turn around the mindset of Nathan Jones and how the manager look at him to say, okay, is this the Kaheim Dixon that we saw in the Unity Cup? Is he ready for championship football? They're suddenly very surprised of the Kaheim Dixon that they saw in the Unity Cup. So moving forward, he's going to get opportunities in the next 4 weeks before the start of the championship season. And if he's going to move anytime soon, it's not going to be during the preseason. I figure more or less if any academy players for Charlton Athletic will go out and loan, it will go right down to the wire, because they want to keep all their academy players in the preseason camp, where they can evaluate them, where they can look at them and look at where they're at in their development at this moment. So movement will not really happen right now for Kaheim Dixon. It will be very shocked to see Kaheim Dixon get a loan move at this moment. If anything, he's going to depart the club on a loan move. It will be right down to the wire after last days of the transfer window. So I mean, that's it around Kaheim Dixon. But this moment for him, it's massive for him. It will be valuable experience for him, coming up against, teams. I think they will have also a preseason game versus Ipswich as well, knowing that a team coming down, from the Premier League into the Championship. And they will go ahead and play Ipswich again, in a 2-way games, home and away. So they will play them in the preseason. But these games, Kaheim Dixon must show that he fit the profile of what the manager want to do in the championship. It would be a difficult season, for Charlton and Nathan Jones, and for Kaheim Dixon and Tyrese Campbell. Tyrese Campbell actually started the game. Kirai Anderson came on in the game. No signs of Amari Bell as yet. This is what the manager have to say on Amari Bell as well after the game.
And you mentioned the new signings. There are a few other players who weren't involved today. Is there anything you can say on them?
Well, no, look, there's people are at different stages of pre-season, so like it's not like everyone's ready to go. People like Amari have played for Jamaica, so I haven't started back until Thursday.
So Nathan Jones have said that about Amari Bell, so hopefully, when they get to Slovenia, you can actually start to see Amari Bell featuring for the Charlton Athletic team. But moving forward, with the likes of 4 regular boy player in this squad, it's very good to tune in. It's very nice, for you to go ahead and subscribe to that Charlton Athletic TV, where you can actually watch the games for free, when you paid, and get all the news flash, everything update on the regular boy players. But again, moving on from Kaheim Dixon, and I really want to talk about Leon Bailey, with the news that's coming out from Fabrizio Romano that there's no concrete evidence for Fenerbahçe, towards Leon Bailey of interest. But obviously there's something there. They're looking at the player, and he must be on the shopping list for Fenerbahçe. That he's one of the players that maybe if they can't get A, B, or C, what is it? Leon Bailey is in the plan. Is it B or is it C? But at this moment, what reported that Skriniar and also Ascenso is the target deal for them to wrap up, and let's see what will happen after that. But with Jose Mourinho at the helm, looking at it, and when I saw the news yesterday on Fabrizio Romano on the Twitter page, I was like, Jose Mourinho, a team that is managing probably arguably the richest club in Turkey at this moment, is probably having a little bit of interest of their eyes on the regular boy player Leon Bailey. It seems like at this moment, in Leon Bailey's career, he just cannot stay away from the media. We saw him probably on the wrong side of the scenery in videos where, publicity, you don't really want your side of your body to be showing out there, as let's use a porn star. But at the other end, is in the front line of the media, reporting on Fabrizio Romano Twitter page, on every social media page and every personal account in Jamaica over the last couple of days. So he just cannot keep himself away from the media. Is it for the good and is it for the bad? But stick to football, where I'm saying for a team that managed by the special one is linking with Leon Bailey, that kind of makes me feel a little bit proud, just to be a Jamaican again, like a reggae boy player is linking with Jose Mourinho team. You understand? But get into it in terms of Fenerbahçe. What does this mean, for Leon Trippy Bailey? I think, look, this will be a game changer for him in terms of, the pressure. One, Fenerbahçe haven't won the Turkish Super League in the last 10 to 12 years. I think it's the last 11 years. This season that just ended, it's the last 11 years that they haven't won the Turkish Super League. And they came so close before the Jose Mourinho era started, where I think both teams went to like 100 points, where Galatasaray beat them, with a few points. But we saw what happened, at the end of last season, in I think they say in the first week of June, Jose Mourinho finished like 9 to 10 points behind Galatasaray, and they have Osimhen on loan. Now they're looking to map up Osimhen, on a permanent deal. Look at the money that Jose Mourinho team spent in the last transfer window. They brought in like 30 new players last season. So with Leon Bailey, if he could be an addition to this team, the pressure, the immense pressure that Leon Bailey will come under, every single Fenerbahçe and Galatasaray player will come under lot of pressure to provide for their club team, especially with the money that Fenerbahçe have been spending. Saw them looking at Jadon Sancho. We saw them sign, former Leon Bailey teammate Jean Duran. They have, I think, Carlos, what's his name? Carlos, I forgot his name, the Brazilian centre back. They have Carlos as well. So they have a few players on the team at this moment that is Leon Bailey ex-teammate. And look, I would love to see Leon Bailey go to the Turkish Super League rather than go to Neom FC in the Saudi Pro League, a newly promoted team, a team that you wouldn't say will be fighting for European, but for Asian football, continental football, the AFC. They wouldn't be fighting, but for a team like Fenerbahçe will be in European tournaments in every single season. And this is a club that will be fighting for the league. And you would say this will be a massive, massive upgrade for Leon Bailey. Yeah, if you ask me, if you look pound to pound, Aston Villa and look at Fenerbahçe, I think in their own country, Fenerbahçe is a bigger team in their own country than Aston Villa is a bigger team, in their own rights in England. You understand? They still have to be under the United, the Chelsea, the Liverpool, the Tottenham, the Man City and these top 6 clubs. But Fenerbahçe is a top team. They will be fighting for every piece of silverware in their season campaign. But again, I would love to see Leon Bailey playing for Fenerbahçe, playing for Jose Mourinho. But let's see if it's something that can start to develop, can go into more advanced stages in the next couple of weeks. But I think this Leon Bailey deal, it will go right down to the wire. It will go right down to the wire after last days of the transfer window. But it seems like Leon Bailey career would not, continue in the Midlands anymore. It seems like his career, his future lies somewhere outside of England, and I would love to see him play for Fenerbahçe. I know a lot of Jamaican fans who support Leon Bailey would love to see the reggae boy player playing in the Turkish Super League. We saw a few seasons back that Ronaldo Cephas been playing in the Turkish Super League. We saw even Davir Orgil played in the Turkish Super League as well for, I think it's Ankara Gucu, one of those teams. But yeah, Leon Bailey look a bit of slight interest linking with Fenerbahçe. Let's see what will happen. But for Jose Mourinho team to be linking or have their eyes on a reggae boy player, that says I'm just another proud Jamaican out here doing this video. And also I'm proud of again, you have to be proud of Leon Bailey's career. There's going to be numerous clubs that will be coming in for the reggae boy player. Look, Leon Bailey, in his first 2-3 seasons of his first professional career, he wasn't no fluke around European football. I think he did to play against a Jose Mourinho team back in the 2006 Europa League campaign, where he scored 7 goals, where they actually couldn't beat Celta Vigo, where Manchester United went on to play Celta Vigo. So you would say, look, Jose Mourinho, know the name Leon Bailey, was in the same, tournament, was in the same bracket of trying to face a gang team during that time in the Europa League. So let's see what's going to happen. But I mean, for Leon Bailey again to be linking with Fenerbahçe, a team that the special one coach Jose Mourinho, I'm loving it. I'm baffled. I'm a bit surprised. You understand? But this is where I stop. Catch you guys later on the Nicardo podcast, where we discuss more into this transfer news, where we discuss more into Mason Greenwood and other Reggae Boy players and the Reggae Boy team as well. And we will be discussing the big final that will play a few hours from now. Chelsea versus Paris Saint-Germain, the first extended tournament in the FIFA Club World Cup. Salute to you guys. Ciao. Au revoir. See you later on the Nicardo podcast 7:30, and then catch the Morning Insider again. Yeah, Monday morning, talking about wrapped up the players that currently in their preseason for their club team. See you guys tomorrow. Ciao.